Here's one thing that can really contribute to your success and progress in life. You might be overlooking this, but here's the answer. It's your environment. This is the issue with a lot of self-development advice and personal growth advice. A lot of times they talk about what can you do, so they focus on your discipline, your willpower, your mindset. A lot of it's just focused on you. What can you do? And this is not inherently a bad thing, by the way, because in general, you always want to be working on yourself and improving yourself so that you can, go after the things that you want in life as well as achieve your goals. So there's nothing inherently wrong with this, but a lot of the self-development advice very much is focused on your internal locus of control. It's very much focused on you. However, when you think about it, we are these organisms, we are these beings that operate within society, within an environment and context. The way you interact with your environment also should be a factor that you consider when it comes to chasing after your goals, trying to make progress in something. Here's the way that I view things. There's macro and micro. Micro is focused on yourself. What can you do? Your thoughts, your mental mindsets, your habits, your actions, etc. That's all micro. Macro is more of around you, the environment. So this could be the city that you live in. This could be literally the environment around you in your home, in your workplace. This can also be the nation and country that you live in, etc. We are all organisms and beings that have our individual locus of control, micro, but we also operate on the macro, or we're interdependent on what goes on the macro scale. So for example, with people that drive cars that use gas, if gas prices go up, whether you like it or not, you're impacted by these macro events. The reason why your environment is so important to your success and progress is due to how human beings operate. Human beings in general, no matter how strong you think you are, no matter how successful or individualized you think you are, we will naturally conform to our environment. For example, if your friends are involved in things that don't really add value to their lives, like all they care about is binge drinking, eating, partying, all that stuff, right? Chances are you will fall to that level. Not always, right? But in general, if you keep hanging around friends like that, chances are you're going to adopt those behaviors and habits. On the flip side, if your friends are very much into entrepreneurship, their careers, making money, being healthy, bettering themselves, chances are you are also one of those individuals that will really care about that. So the point being is people will really absorb via osmosis what's going on in their environment. And why is this? Well, it comes down to a very simple reason. I call it friction. When you are in an environment, it's very natural to take the path of least resistance. This is actually a very human thing. We always want to take, from a psychology standpoint, the path of least resistance, whatever is easier basically. So when you're in an environment, if everything is set up well for your success, then that is the path of least resistance. But if everything is set up against you, again, that is the path of least resistance. This is why your environment is so important, because your environment can either be empowering you and pushing you along that path of least resistance to something good, or it can be pushing you along the path of least resistance to something bad. This is why your environment is so important. So what is the takeaway? The takeaway is really quite obvious. You want to stack and change the environment to your favor. You want to choose the best environments for you in terms of furthering your progress and goals. So for example, let's say you have fitness goals. Think of some ways you can change your environment to really be conducive towards you achieving your fitness goals. Number 1, you can join a gym. Number 2, you can join a group fitness class. Number 3, you can join a running club. Number 4, you can actually throw away all the junk food in your home, an apartment, and replace it with healthy snacks. The point being is, for a goal that you have, think about how you can change the environment into your favor. Another way of kind of thinking about it is in the realm of relationships too. This is just more of a personal anecdote and story, by the way. I have found that your environment matters a lot in terms of meeting people, both socially and romantically. For example, if you go to an environment that's completely not aligned with who you are as a person, the chances of you actually finding connection there, whether platonic or romantic, will be very low. But if you go to an environment that actually really aligns with who you are, then chances of you finding a connection, whether again platonic or romantic, will be higher. So again, your environment matters a lot, because I think a lot of times it's very common, especially for people that are very growth oriented, to fixate on themselves. So if they're not getting progress or results that they want in life, in a specific area of life, oftentimes they'll focus on what can I change and control, which is very good, by the way. It's very good to really feel like you can really affect change and have agency in life. But I do want you to really think about, like, okay, for the areas that you want to improve in life, think about how you can make the environment more conducive towards that improvement, because your environment really really matters a lot. The last reason why changing your environment is so helpful and useful is due to the fact that macro always beats micro. There is a lot of glorification in self-development advice to focus on how as an individual you can have insane willpower and discipline to achieve everything against the odds, because that really is a great story, right? But the reality is, if you change the landscape and environment, it'll make your chances of success and progress a lot higher. And when it comes to macro beating micro, I found in my life, in different areas of life, the macro conditions, like the environment, will always win over the micro conditions, which is basically your willpower, your discipline, your mental habits, etc. You can only swim upstream for so long, so why not choose the right environment conducive towards your goals? Now let me think about a scenario that will really illustrate this point. Imagine you want to eat healthy, you want to lose weight, you want to, get ripped. Now imagine your home environment is full of unhealthy foods, both the snacks and the main meals. Does it make more sense to actually remove those meals and unhealthy snacks? Or does it make more sense to just leave them there but try to fight against the temptation to eat those snacks? The answer is pretty obvious, right? If you are constantly surrounded by snacks, foods that are really unhealthy but taste really good, it doesn't matter how strong your discipline is, unless you're, very extreme with your discipline. Someone that's trying to be healthy, that's constantly surrounded by unhealthy foods and snacks, will eventually cave in. There are obviously exceptions to the rule, but this is a case where macro, your environment, will win over micro, which is the individual and their willpower and their determination. Again, there's always exceptions to the rule, but the reason why I mention this is due to the fact that oftentimes there's a bias that individuals have. They like to think like, oh, well, I want this goal, well, I'm going to be the exception. I'm going to have the most discipline and willpower, and I'm going to stand against all the odds. This type of mindset is going to get you into a lot of trouble, because if you think that you're the exception, chances are you are not. And that's okay. Because if you really want to rig things in your favor and achieve a high probability of success, the answer is very simple. Change and move the lever that matters the most, which in this case is your environment. And that is definitely, for the most part, within your control. I hope this video was helpful. Maybe it sparked some thoughts within you. Maybe it reminded you of something, or reminded you of a lesson that you learned. Any thoughts on it? Leave it down in the comments below. Please subscribe to this channel. I'll see you all next time.